Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News. Today I'm joined by Jason Brewer. Jason is Chief Executive of All Star Minerals, soon to be renamed Marula Mining, but that's not an issue for today. All Star Minerals, listed in London on the Aquis market. Jason, welcome back on the show. You've just announced the successful completion of due diligence for the Blesberg lithium and tantalum project in South Africa, and also the Nwamba Hill tantalum rare earth elements phosphate project in Zambia. You've also said you're going to proceed to acquire interests in both projects. Give us an overview of the projects. Remind us also, please, if you will, of the terms for the acquisition.
Sure, Tim, and a pleasure to be back here again. As you said, we announced the heads of agreement on both these projects barely a month or so ago. So the team and the board have been very busy completing that due diligence, completing site visits, completing reviews of a lot of historical work. Blesberg, to start with, located there in the Northern Cape province of South Africa, some several hours drive north of Cape Town. It's a historical operation. You've got established quarries there that commenced operations in 1925 and have operated intermittently up until, I think, early 2000s, but not really focused on the lithium. And it's one of the largest pegmatite deposits in the Northern Cape region. So a very extensive lithium bearing pegmatite. You can see it, you can walk, and you can pick it up off the ground. It's there. Export quality, high grade, great infrastructure, water, power, road, everything that you'd expect of a project located in South Africa and benefiting from the mining infrastructure there. We've moved ahead. We've got the rights there, to acquire an initial 30% interest, and we've paid the initial cash payment there of about £37,000. To move to 30%, we have to invest another £500,000. And that's done by way of share issuances to the vendors and cash into the ground. So very quickly we move up to 30%, and we expect to get that completed over the next 6 months. And then we've got the rights to go up to 70%, which clearly we're very keen to do that already, actually, I must admit, based on the findings of our due diligence. So Blesberg, a very exciting near-term lithium production operation for us. Nwamba Hill is located up there in northeast Zambia, so a little bit closer to where I'm based here in Zambia. It's a major mineralized carbonatite, and you've got a number of carbonatites located throughout Africa here that are typically rich in rare earth element mineralization, niobium, tantalum, and phosphates as well. So we've benefited from a fair bit of historical work that's been done on this project. There's already a JORC compliant resource that's been delineated through diamond drilling on only 5% of the project area mined. So we think there's a lot of upside here. But you have that JORC resource indicated and inferred for both phosphate and rare earths. Our focus is going to be very much on the tantalum and niobium side, in the short term, that is. There's an opportunity there to start up very quickly a small to medium scale mining operation producing a niobium tantalum concentrate. So that's going to be our initial focus. To earn our initial 25%, we've actually just got to spend $150,000 in the ground. We've already advanced 25,000 of that. And I have meetings in Johannesburg next week with the other shareholders, and we're finalizing a bulk sampling program, and we're looking to move that forward into production very quickly. So 2 projects focused in that battery metal sector, and where we think there is a great opportunity to move them forward at relatively low capital costs or low investment costs for us. So quite exciting projects.
I'm assuming that the low capital cost is part of that excitement, but you also mentioned the due diligence which you and your colleagues have carried out. So with regard to that due diligence, what particularly really excited you about each of the projects?
I think, look, I'll start off with Blesberg. Myself, Richard Lloyd, our chairman, and Mark Nally, one of our recently appointed non-executive directors, we had the benefit of going to site after the recent mining indaba. We spent a day there. We were able to visit the existing quarries, existing stockpiles of material, the waste dumps. We were able to see in the pit walls spodumene crystals the size of our torsos. Typically, when you see spodumene crystals in drilling on projects 150 meters depth, they're the size of your thumbnail. Here, they were as big as you are, Tim. It was quite incredible to see. And that's, I guess, geologically, you could probably refer to it as a bit of a freak show there. But you can see, you can hold. We ended up bringing back with us to both here in Kenya and into the UK some very good samples of the spodumene crystals. That really excited us, seeing that there. What also excited us was, again, this has been mined intermittently since 1925, but never really for the lithium, for the quartz, for the feldspar, for the tantalum. So it's only really the past decade or so that lithium has had that demand in the electric vehicle space. So as you walk around this mine site, you've got 70 years of waste dumps there. And when you look at these waste dumps, you've got anywhere from 10 to 20% of those waste dumps containing spodumene. So that really excited us, the opportunity to go and start retreating the waste dumps with a very simple beneficiation plant to produce a spodumene concentrate. So the ability to get that project into production, albeit retreating, 400,000 tons or so of waste dumps, 10 to 20% of which would be the spodumene, is very exciting. And it's something, again, whilst in South Africa next week, I'll be meeting with to finalize a bulk sampling program and to finalize how we can really take that forward. So yes, Blesberg really excited, not just me, but the other board directors as well. Being able to see it, touch it, and see it literally stockpiled there was just quite amazing, to say the least. Onto Zambia and Nkombwa Hill, I think the excitement we have there really comes from Mark Nally. Mark's been involved in Zambia for well over a decade and very experienced there. He was one of the big founders of a major copper company there that's listing in London later this year, and a very experienced geologist. When he saw this project, he was excited. He really was excited, and he really didn't think there was projects like this available still in Zambia to both explore and to develop. So when he was going through and reviewing a lot of the historical data, the drill data, the resource work, and the exploration upside, he was really impressed with what he saw, particularly given that it's a really good suite of commodities there. The niobium, tantalum, shallow mineralization, which gives you the potential to get a very quick small-scale mining operation into production. But then also the rare earth elements and the phosphate. Again, two commodities which are, again, performing very well in today's climate. So the due diligence came back very positive. We're very pleased that we're able to announce the outcome of those results just yesterday. And we're keen to move ahead now and finalize all the necessary documentation and start the work on site.
Okay. I want to come back to the magnet, electric vehicle, phosphate markets in a moment, but just to conclude on the two projects specifically, what are going to be your immediate next steps? Is that exploration, or how are you going to be adding value, again, to the two projects?
I think with Blesberg, it's a very simple process for us. It's going in there, and whilst we are looking at that broader exploration, the existing pegmatite, the existing mineralization extends for over 1 kilometer, of which the majority is contained within a 400-meter length, anywhere from 15 to 30 meters across. And like I said, you're able to see the spodumene lithium-bearing mineralization there. We will be looking to seriously increase the resource and to be able to declare a JORC compliant resource. So we clearly will be looking at expanding the resources there. But when you have such an immediate opportunity to generate cash flow by putting in place a small processing plant, a small beneficiation plant that can retreat the waste dumps, retreat some of the other stockpiles, then that is clearly our process. So the next steps there is to do up to a 3-ton bulk sample to optimize the processing test work that's been done already, Mintech out of South Africa have done an awful lot of work, and we're very pleased with those results. But we clearly want to get back in. We want to update that. So we will be looking to get a 3-ton bulk sample out in the coming weeks, finalize that process flow sheet, and then start to move forward and producing a concentrate, which would be readily available to sell into the export markets. So very excited there about that. And clearly with that cash flow, that gives us the ability to do more broader, longer term exploration. And like I say, really boost up the resources there and put capital into this project that really hasn't been put into it before. So that's the excitement on Blesberg. On Comboy Hill, the immediate focus there is to get the look at the niobium tantalum mineralization, shallow at and near surface. Again, bulk sample program has been planned with a view of then getting up, and for the cost of about 150,000 US, get a small beneficiation plant up there as well, and looking at producing a concentrate that could be sold into the market. With the proceeds from that and with the funds which we have committed towards us, we will be looking at a more broader exploration program to focus on the rare earths, to increase the resources there, and also to increase the phosphate resources, because again, not necessarily our immediate focus, but commodity sectors which have had tremendous growth in recent years, and the demand in those sectors is it's quite mind-blowing as a CEO, and you see I guess across the two projects, each and every one of the commodities that we've got are contained on that critical raw materials list, which was put out last year before last by the EU and the US. So yeah, we've certainly targeted the right commodities, and an ability to get a production profile going very quickly and boost the resource profile at the same time is something I think both us as directors and the board of the company and investors and shareholders should be quite excited about.
Well, you've said there, Jason, you're talking about exporting and selling into export markets. Let's just focus on the battery metals for a moment, because as I'm sure you know, battery metals are in great demand. They've focused the attention of investors, producers and governments on supply chains as we move into the green revolution with the electric vehicles and wind turbines, and the need to make sure we have got secure and shorter supply chains of those critical minerals. Now, how important a role, how significant, how in fact will it work for the markets like yourselves in South Africa and Zambia to feed in to those supply chains?
I think first and foremost, to be able to feed into those supply chains, you've got to be working and operating in mining jurisdictions which give you an ability to take a project through the phases of exploration, development into production, and have not just the legislative environment that encourages that, but has the infrastructure around you to encourage that. And when you look at South Africa and when you look at Zambia, you've got two of the most well-established mining jurisdictions in Africa. South Africa with its road, rail, ports, probably second to none in Africa. Let's not kid ourselves. Zambia, on the back of the huge investment in the copper belt there in the 50s and 60s and so on, again, has got such a track record of being able to export mineral products through Africa, even though they are land constrained. There are routes to market which are well established, well proven, and cost effective. So for us to be able to even start to think about exporting a product into the markets, we've got to be operating in the sort of jurisdictions we are. So we're very excited about that. You're then operating in jurisdictions which have the resources, which have the deposits, and aren't greenfield, aren't plagued by potential political risk issues. So I think both South Africa and Zambia have demonstrated an ability for investors to come in and invest quite heavily in projects and provide a product to the market which satisfies a lot of the increasing criteria that end users have. How is the material sourced? How is it mined? Who are the companies behind it? For us to be operating in South Africa and Zambia and as a listed entity, we've got to meet such criteria. in terms of our environmental record, our social governance records, and so on. So for us to be able to deliver material to support that green revolution, then I think we're on the right track. We're certainly on the right track, and end users which have, those checks and balances will certainly be able to satisfy, and I think we'll actually be outperforming many of our peers.
Well, if that's secure and ethical supply and supply chains for the battery metals, let's now talk about magnets and the phosphate market. And I guess it's a similar kind of issue because everyone around the world is concerned about China's dominance. But let's just talk now about what you've got, your rare earths, your phosphates. Those markets go from strength to strength. Just give us a bit of an insight from your perspective as a miner. What's driving that upward trajectory and why is it important?
Look, I think you mentioned China there, and as people will know, China's responsible for 90% of the world's neomagnet production, and 70% of that is consumed or is held domestically within China. China's growth rate continues to outperform many other countries, despite the current global conditions. But China continues to grow. The risk that China could basically stop exporting that production and consume it all domestically is a tremendous risk. And you're seeing that now with both European and American governments trying to lock down the production of these facilities, of these neometals in country. I think you only saw it, was it yesterday, Tim? I think Australian listed company Lynas received a $120 million grant by the US government to build a manufacturing facility in the US. That's only going to increase because the potential certainly for rare earths and the production of those permanent batteries, for all of a sudden China to have such control over a critical component of electric vehicles is one which other governments now are saying, hang on a second, where are we not just going to get our supply from? How are we going to get it secure, generationally secure? Everybody's been aware that China's been operating not on a short-term 1, 2, 5, 10-year kind of plan. They've been working on plans 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100-year plans to secure their raw material base. I think now we're playing catch up in the Western world. And I think for the commodities such as rare earths, it's something which is becoming very critical. And you can see it in the various projects which are located throughout Africa, in East Africa in particular, and also in the likes of Malawi, in the likes of Tanzania, and Southern Africa as well. South Africa in particular has a number of projects which are quite exciting there. Zambia with our project, I think again, is something which we'll be able to surprise the market with in terms of how quickly we can move that forward. You've then got phosphate, and phosphate, as you've seen, is set to soar, not just on the demand from the agricultural sector, but also on EV demand, something which a number of years ago people wouldn't have even dreamt of. But now with the lithium iron phosphate batteries, and how there is so much processing concerns about where we're going to get that supply from. These sort of deposits, these multi-commodity deposits where you've got phosphates and rare earths, are becoming very critical for end users to secure. So I think we're in a very strong position here, Tim, moving forward.
Well, Jason, thank you for all of that. Strong position on electric vehicles, on battery metals and on phosphates for either fertilizer and feeding the world or indeed into batteries again. Thanks for joining us. That was Jason Brewer, Chief Executive of All Star Minerals. As I said at the start of the show, if you want to find All Star Minerals, they're listed in London on the Aquis market. And that's it from Blythe Ray Business News for today. Thanks for watching.